Once again, welcome to our remote public meeting. Just confirming doing an audio check for our live stream. Again, we'll start in just a few minutes at 2 p.m. Once again, good afternoon and welcome. You are tuning into the remote public scoping meeting for the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal. For the record, I'll note that the City Environmental Quality Review number for the project is 22DCP100M. My name is Stephanie Shalou. I'm the director of the New York City Department of City Planning's Environmental Assessment and Review Division, or EARD. Annabelle Meunier, team leader in EARD, will co-host today's meeting, and in the event of any technical challenges on my end, Annabelle will take over this meeting on my behalf. We truly appreciate your patience, and I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to attend this virtual meeting. I want to also acknowledge that this technology isn't perfect, but it does provide an invaluable tool that allows the critical land use and environmental review processes to proceed while keeping us all safe during this public health crisis. We will hear from everyone who wishes to speak today, and the meeting will remain open until we've heard from all speakers. We also welcome written comments and testimony through Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, and we provide written comments the same attention and consideration as comments provided live during this meeting today. All right, next slide, please. And we will now proceed to the public scoping meeting for 570 Fifth Avenue. For the record, again, the seeker City Environmental Quality Review number is 22DCP100M. Today's date is February 10th, 2022, and the time is approximately 2:02 p.m. Next slide. Again, my name is Stephanie Shalou. I'm the director of the Environmental Assessment and Review Division of the New York City Department of City Planning. I'll be chairing today's scoping meeting. The Department of City Planning acts on behalf of the City Planning Commission as the lead agency for the proposal's environmental review. And as lead agency, the department is overseeing the preparation and completion of an environmental impact statement, or EIS, for the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal. Next slide. Joining me today are some of my colleagues from the Department of City Planning. As I mentioned, Annabelle Meunier, team leader with the Environmental Assessment and Review Division, joins us today, as well as Matthew Patris, project manager for the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal in the department's Manhattan office. I'll also mention that during today's remote meeting, we're joined by several staff members of the Department of City Planning working hard in the background to assist us with this meeting format. So thanks to that team. Together, we're here to receive your comments on the draft scope of work for the draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, for the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal. The draft scope of work identifies all of the subjects that will be analyzed in the upcoming DEIS and explains how those subjects will be studied. The draft scope of work materials are posted online on the Department of City Planning's website. Next slide. The purpose of today's meeting is to allow for public participation in the preparation of the DEIS at the earliest possible stage in the environmental review process. Specifically, scoping allows the public to help shape the DEIS before it is written. To that end, the department, as lead agency, will receive verbal testimony on the draft scope of work from elected officials, government agencies, the local community board, and the public. As I mentioned, we also welcome written comments on the draft scope of work, and those can be submitted through Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. Next slide. At the end of the written comment period, the department, as lead agency, will review all comments, those we hear today, as well as written comments that we receive. After carefully reviewing all of the comments, the department will decide what changes, if any, are warranted to be made to the draft scope of work, and we will issue a final scope of work. It is the final scope of work that serves as the basis for the preparation of the draft environmental impact statement. Next slide. Today marks the beginning of the written comment period on the draft scope of work. No decisions will be made today regarding the draft scope of work. Again, the purpose today is to allow the public to provide their comments on the draft scope of work and allow the department to listen to those comments. Again, it's important for all voices to be heard today. Next slide. I'll now focus on the structure of today's meeting, which will be divided into 3 parts. First, the applicant team will make a brief presentation describing the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal, and the representative from AKRF, the environmental consulting firm for the applicant, will provide a brief summary of the environmental review and the draft scope of work. This will take about 20 minutes. Then during the second part of the meeting, the department will receive testimony from elected officials, government agencies, and community board leaders that are speaking on behalf of the community board. And then during the third and final part of the meeting, we'll be receiving testimony from members of the general public. Next slide. On to a few logistics. If you do wish to speak and plan to access the meeting online using a computer or tablet or smartphone, please remember to register online by using the link on the NYC Engage portal and selecting the 570 Fifth Avenue Public Scoping Meeting page. Again, that link is nyc.gov/engage. A link to join us and provide your testimony will be shown on the screen after registering, and we'll add you to our speakers list. Next slide. When it's your turn to speak, your name will be called and you will be promoted to panelist. This will allow you to unmute your microphone and the ability to turn on your camera if you wish. There will be a short period where it appears that you're leaving the meeting. Don't be alarmed, you will rejoin the meeting as a panelist. Please note that promoting speakers does take a moment, so please be patient. Once your name has been called, we'll help you unmute your microphone and you'll be asked to convey your remarks. To allow us to hear from everyone who wishes to speak, we ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes. If you're participating online, a 3-minute countdown clock will run on the screen. At the 3-minute mark, your time will expire and you'll be asked to conclude your remarks. Again, if you choose to turn on your camera, we will be able to see you. Next slide. A note of instruction for those joining by phone: if you wish to provide testimony, Via telephone, please select *9 when I give you a prompt. Listen for me to call out the last 3 digits of your phone number, and at that point, you'll be given the temporary ability to share your testimony. Then you'll need to press *6 to unmute. We'll be able to hear you speak at this meeting, and when your testimony is complete or your 3 minutes have expired, whichever comes first, again, we'll ask you to press *6 to mute yourself. We would like to encourage dial-in participants who wish to provide testimony to register via phone using a dial-in participant hotline, which will run on the screen in a moment. Please note that muting and unmuting speakers does take a moment, so please, again, ask for your patience. On to time limits. Speakers from the general public have 3 minutes to give testimony. There are a few exceptions to the 3-minute time limit. Elected officials, for example, are given the courtesy of jumping to the front of the queue and are not limited to 3 minutes. To those of you joining us on, viewing us on the live stream and wishing to testify, please be mindful of background noise during your testimony. Make sure that the live stream is muted when you begin to avoid hearing an echo. Again, if you do wish to provide written testimony, it can be submitted to the Department of City Planning. Our address is shown on the screen here, 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271. Attention, Stephanie Shalhoub. They can also be emailed to us at this project-specific email address, 22dcp100m_dl@planning.nyc.gov. This information can also be found on the NYC Engage portal and the Department of City Planning website. And again, comments on the project will be accepted through Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. Next slide. If you missed the instructions or any of this introduction, please do visit nyc.gov/NYC Engage for instructions on how to participate and provide testimony. And now we will move on to the first part of our meeting, where the applicant will present an overview of the proposed project, followed by the summary of the draft scope of work. So I'll now welcome Gary Barnett of Excel to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm on? Okay. Thank you all for meeting with us today, and a special thanks to the Department of City Planning for the opportunity to publicly present the scope for an environmental analysis of our latest project, 570 Fifth Avenue. Excel has a long-standing commitment to New York that is best shown by a track record of over 20 million square feet of projects completed and in development in the city, including some of the new landmarks in the city. Post-pandemic, our community needs new projects that boost economic activity and, most importantly, helps re-energize the city's core. 570 Fifth Avenue, right smack in the middle of Midtown, will do just that. The site is located between 46th and 47th Street in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. For this exceptional location, I'm proposing to build a state-of-the-art new office tower, as well as very substantial transit improvements, which have been fully embraced by the MTA. We started assembling this land over a decade ago when we were building the International Gem Tower building, which is on 47th Street mid-block and going to 46th Street. And after many years of planning, we're now ready to bring this project to fruition and contribute to the next stage of reactivation and reinvention of Fifth Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. And I think this is a very important project, particularly given the exact location of the neighborhood. This will be a huge help and start to this part of Fifth Avenue between 40th and 50th Street. My proposal features a 47-story office tower with high-quality design focused on workplace productivity, wellness, and sustainability. The pandemic is changing the way companies are thinking about their real estate needs, and the city will need a new generation of projects that respond to those needs and provide the highest quality of space. This is imperative to maintain New York City's competitiveness as a global center of business, and particularly now that it's also becoming one of the centers of high-tech discovery and business in the country. Due to market uncertainty, I'm also proposing an alternative plan for a mixed-use tower, including residential, hotel, and retail space. This is not our preferred plan, and hopefully will not come to fruition, but it is a necessary option to have in order to mitigate the overall risk of the project under current market conditions. But again, we are planning for an office building. We think that's the best use, and we certainly hope to get that done. Second part of the project includes a much needed suite of improvements to the nearby 5th Avenue and 53rd Street subway station, the EM lines. Over the last year, we have collaborated with the MTA and the Department of City Planning to develop this transformative project, which will make the station ADA accessible, as well as expand capacity and circulation, delivering substantive benefit to the public. And we have heard from the local community board and from a lot of public input that this is considered a very, very necessary improvement. One of the major things that this project brings to the table is the ability to do a very large, almost complete suite of improvements to those stations all at once, so that there is not ongoing construction over the next decades. I think this is a very important component and really speaks to the merit of both our project and the improvements with the MTA. Together, the new building and the major transit improvements create a unique opportunity to partner with the city to create a top quality project that will strengthen both the business community and the city's infrastructure for many decades to come. Our team will now take you through the details of this project and the scoping documents for the environmental analysis. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your input. Wesley, you can take over.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Wesley O'Brien of Fried Frank, Land Use Council to Extel. And to introduce our project team, I'm joined by Trent Tesh of KPF Architects, Amy Crater of AKRF, and Daniel Cohen of Stantec. Also, we are joined by Helene Cinque of the MTA. Next slide. Just to briefly orient everyone, the project site is located along 5th Avenue between West 46th and West 47th Street. Next slide, please. The site is located in the Special Midtown District, with the western portion of the site within a C6 4.5 district and the eastern portion of the site in a C5 3 district within the Special 5th Avenue subdistrict. Next slide, please. I'll now turn it over to Trent Tesh of KPF.
Wesley, good afternoon. My name is Trent Tesh, and I'm a design principal at Cohn Pedersen Fox, leading the design effort of 575th. 575th Avenue is located between 46th and 47th Street on the western side of the avenue. As you can see in this diagram, it is centrally located between Rockefeller Center and Bryant Park, the heart of 5th Avenue. The tower is designed to mediate the scale of the East Midtown rezoning district just to the east of the site and the larger office buildings to the north, notably 30 Rockefeller Center. We are designing the building to align with contemporary workplace trends, health and wellness, and sustainable building practices. Next slide, please. Here's a view showing how the building relates to its context along 5th Avenue. The rendering is taken from the southeast corner of 46th Street, looking northwest along 5th. The podium of the tower relates to the heights of the neighboring buildings, and retail and active uses wrap the corner of 5th Avenue and 46th Street. A double height office lobby addresses 5th Avenue with the scale appropriate for the prominence of the project's location. For the facade, we are proposing a metallic vertical fin with a tone and form designed to relate with the Rockefeller context to the north. This vertical fin shades the inside of the building and provides thermal insulation while still allowing great daylight and views to the tower occupants. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side of the slide, you see a view of the proposed office tower. The office tower contains 1,162,559 zoning square feet of office space, 13,453 zoning square feet of retail space, for a total of 1,176,021 zoning square feet. The total gross area of the tower is 1,543,759 square feet. And at 47 stories, it is 858 feet tall. The right-hand side of the slide is a drawing of the ground floor plan. The upper right portion of the plan shows an out parcel at the corner of the site. Retail wraps the site from 47th Street to 5th Avenue and around the northern edge of 46th Street. The office lobby is located on 5th Avenue between the retail program flanking both sides. There is a through block porte cochere located on the western edge of the site that will help reduce potential traffic flow issues around the building. Next slide, please. This slide shows the alternate residential and hotel program, which Gary discussed at the beginning of our presentation. The residential portion of the tower would hold 324,841 zoning square feet. The hotel would have 806,866 zoning square feet. And the retail portion would contain 50,503 zoning square feet for a total of 1,176,021 zoning square feet. The gross area of the tower would be 1,462,173 square feet. And at 78 stories, the tower would be 1,060 feet tall. And on the right-hand side of the slide, the ground floor plan shows the hotel lobby on 47th Street with retail wrapping around along 5th Avenue and the northern edge of 46th Street. The residential lobby is located on 46th. We also show a through-block porte cochere on the western edge of the site, which again would help manage the operations of the building and reduce potential traffic flow issues around the site. Next slide. And now I will turn it over to Helene Sink of the MTA.
Helene, your sound's not working. Perhaps we should move ahead to the next slide, and Daniel Cohen can walk us through the improvements, and we'll come back to Helene when your sound is working. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel Cohen. I'm with Stantec Consulting. I'm the project manager for Stantec on the transit improvement side of the project. I'm going to quickly use a slide to walk everybody through the existing conditions and explain the needs here. This station, as of 2019, so pre-pandemic, saw 58,000 daily passenger entries and exits. This made it the 37th busiest in the entire system. It's a deep station, approximately 8 stories deep or 85 feet in bedrock, under a narrow street, 53rd Street. It has stacked side platforms, and the configuration like this makes any modifications extremely difficult. The only current existing circulation cores are at the far east and far west ends of the platforms. Again, the east is off the east side of Madison, and the west is west of 5th. This leads to significant congestion at both cores, especially during the AM peak hour, with escalators performing as measured in clearance time 5 times the recommended guideline. And the photos you see on the right are indicative of those AM peak hours. For those of you that might have experienced the station, you have people coming from the lower platform and merging with people coming from the upper platform, just like in these photographs. Next slide, please. And so what we need to do here is construct a brand new center core. This is a massive engineering and construction undertaking. By way of example, I'll cite the 2nd Avenue subway entrances to give people a vision of what is required here. Just some examples on the right, 86th Street, mezzanine and access core, so providing fair circulation. And the escalators at 72nd Street are approximately the same depth as what we're contemplating here. Next slide. This is an overall rendering of the improvements we're considering. Again, included in this project is ADA accessibility, a direct off-street street to platform elevator. This will be a 3-stop connecting this street directly with the upper and lower platforms. These are the Queensbound and downtown platforms of the station. We're also extending the mezzanine level, so 1 story below grade in the background, providing 2 new escalators down and stair access to both platforms. Among other things, including sidewalk widening and additional street stair capacity. Next slide, please. Just to highlight, everything here in yellow would be new. The scale of the improvements extends over roughly the length of a football field and the depth of an 8-story building. Next slide, please. On the left is an existing section of the station. Again, a tunnel mined in bedrock, 8 stories below grade. It's 100 years old and requires careful construction to make any new tie-ins to the station. On the right is a section through the elevator and mezzanine extension, again, providing that direct connectivity between the street and the platform, a benefit not typically seen at deep stations where elevator users would have to transfer at a mezzanine between 2 separate elevators. Next slide, please. This is a plan view of the existing mezzanine level. North is up in this image. This is the existing access to the station east of 5th Avenue, requiring a passenger to enter the station through one of 2 existing stairs on the north and south sidewalk, and then traverse this existing underpass under 5th Avenue, approximately 300 feet to the existing circulation core. What we're planning on doing as we switch to the next slide is extending this mezzanine eastward. All told, we're expanding the station approximately 6,000 square feet. We're increasing fare capacity by over 60%. That's of the entire station, and increasing the amount of street stair capacity by almost 40%. This shows here the access core and mezzanine that's required to reach the platform. The escalators are going down and to the right, again, roughly 80 feet below grade. The elevator is an off-street elevator, skipping this mezzanine level, but providing connectivity for back of house and other services, and going right to the platform. Next slide, please. This is a longitudinal section, and I'll use this slide just to wrap everything up. Again, in total, we're significantly increasing the capacity of the entire station with this center core. As measured in passengers served per minute, we would be increasing the capacity of the station by almost 54%. And again, each component individually, as I run through these series of slides, we're providing new street entrances east of 5th on 53rd Street, a new mezzanine area under 53rd, so will accommodate fare control and the escalator landings. The new access core to the platform levels is the physical concrete shaft and caverns necessary to provide the circulation. The new ADA elevator from street to the 2 passageways that will take you to the subway. The 2 passageways themselves with fare control, providing that direct access. The 2 escalators from mezzanine to upper platform, the stairs from mezzanine to upper platform and then to lower platform. And then those 2 existing stairs I referred to earlier will be relocated and reoriented towards 5th Avenue to capture those trips from 5th. And that summarizes the major transit improvements. I will turn it back over to Wesley O'Brien to review the ULURP process.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. So to facilitate these subway improvements and the project, we will be seeking 4 zoning actions. First, we are requesting a zoning text amendment to modify the maximum floor area bonus available at the site through the Zoning for Accessibility program. This amendment will allow all of the subway improvements that we discussed to be delivered at once as part of a single project. The zoning text amendment will also allow for modifications to certain bulk and use regulations so as to accommodate the bonus floor area on the site and permit the proposed project. The amended zoning text will not affect the citywide Zoning for Accessibility program, but will be available only for a large site within the special 5th Avenue subdistrict. So then, pursuant to the amended zoning text, we will be seeking 2 special permits, one requesting a bonus for the subway station improvements and a second requesting modifications to the use and bulk regulations. Finally, we will be seeking a third special permit to allow for hotel uses at the site. Next slide, please. The resulting project will have a total of 1.176 million square feet of zoning floor area, including 616,000 square feet of base floor area and 560,000 square feet of bonus floor area. For the environmental review, the EIS will study both of the proposed options that KPF discussed and will assess in a single building envelope shown at the left, and it will assess a single building envelope, which is shown at the left here, within which each of these program options would fit. This single envelope will be used to ensure a conservative analysis with respect to the shadow studies and other areas of analysis where potential impacts are based on the building's form. Next slide. So now I'll turn it over to Amy Crater of AKRF to further discuss the reasonable worst case development scenario that will be used in the EIS.
Okay, hi there. My name is Amy Crater and I'm with AKRF. We're the environmental consulting firm for the project. As noted by Stephanie Shalou, the draft scope of work has been issued, and today we are here to listen to your comments on the draft scope. First, I will start by establishing the analysis framework for the EIS. For the purposes of the EIS, we will be analyzing the reasonable worst case development scenario. In this table, the column labeled no action, which is toward the left, shows the development that's anticipated in the no action scenario, which is a program that could be developed on the site absent the approval of the requested discretionary actions. For this project, the no action scenario would be a new, as of right, primarily office building. The columns to the right show the with action scenarios. The EIS will present both the with action office building and the alternate scenario which is a with action residential hotel building. The bluish gray columns identify the incremental differences between the with action office and the with action residential hotel developments compared to the no action office. The no action and with action development programs and the incremental differences between them will form the basis for the environmental analyses. As shown on this slide, the draft EIS will consider future conditions without and with the proposed actions in the 2028 analysis year, which is when the with action development is expected to be built and operational. The DEIS will also account for other approved or planned development projects that are likely to be completed by the 2028 analysis year. The EIS will use the Seeker Technical Manual as general guidance on the methodologies and impact criteria for evaluating project effects on the various technical areas. This is a detailed guidance document that sets the framework for the environmental reviews here in New York City. The Seeker Technical Manual outlines 18 technical areas that should be considered in assessing a project's potential effects. For this project, the EIS will analyze all technical areas with the exceptions of 3 that have screened out, which are natural resources, community facilities, and energy. The EIS will analyze each of the technical areas within an established study area. Study areas will vary depending on the technical analysis, including 400 feet, quarter mile, half mile, and larger. The land use analysis in particular will identify existing uses and development trends in a 400-foot study area, discuss the changes that would take place as a result of the proposed actions, and evaluate consistency and compatibility with land use, zoning, and public policy. An important part of this analysis will be identifying other background projects to include in the EIS analyses. The socioeconomic conditions analysis will assess the potential for the project to result in indirect business displacement and indirect residential displacement. The DEIS will also evaluate the project's potential impacts on open space resources within a quarter-mile study area to account for worker population and in a half-mile study area to account for a residential population. Since the proposed actions will result in a tall new building, the DEIS will include a shadows analysis to determine potential effects on sunlight-sensitive resources, including open spaces and historic resources with sunlight-dependent features, such as the stained glass windows of St. Patrick's. The DEIS will disclose the effects of the project on water and sewer infrastructure and solid waste and sanitation services. The transportation analysis will consider the project's potential effects on the area's traffic, pedestrians, transit, vehicular and pedestrian safety conditions, and parking. The analysis framework will be developed with the agencies to determine study area intersections, area sidewalks, corners and crosswalks, and public transit elements for analysis. The draft EIS will also include an analysis of potential construction-related impacts. It will include a conceptual schedule and a description of construction activities. This chapter will assess environmental concerns related to construction, such as vehicular and pedestrian conditions, air quality, hazardous materials, natural resources, and noise. Measures to measure or avoid potential construction impacts will also be identified. Other technical areas that will be covered in the draft EIS are air quality, noise, greenhouse gas emissions and climate change, neighborhood character, and public health. We will also look at mitigation measures where significant adverse impacts are identified, and will consider alternatives to the project, which could be developed in coordination with the lead agency. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this scoping meeting, and we look forward to hearing your comments on the draft scope of work. And now back to you, Stephanie.
And sorry, just before we do, could we go back to slide 23 to
yes.
We have Helene on now?
There we go. There we go.
Helene, if you can hear us, you should be able to press *6 to unmute.
Yep. Okay. Nope. Okay, so Helene has given me her statement and asked me to read it on her behalf. So we're joined here by Helene Cinque from the Transit-Oriented Development Group of the MTA. The MTA is delighted to present this exciting project for a suite of transformational transit improvements at the 5th Avenue and 53rd Street station, which is the E and the M lines. Over the past year, the MTA has collaborated with Extel and the New York City Department of City Planning to develop a scope of improvements that will substantially improve conditions at this station, including ADA accessibility and much needed additional circulation capacity. It is important to highlight that the project will upgrade the transit improvements contemplated for this station in the Greater East Midtown Plan, providing greater benefits for the public than originally anticipated. Elements of this major project include a new center access core, new and reconfigured sidewalk stairs, a new mezzanine and new fare control area, new escalators to the platform, new stairs to the platforms, direct off-street sidewalk to platform ADA elevator, and new connecting passageways from the elevator to the platforms. This is a complex station with deep platforms that requires a comprehensive and carefully integrated set of improvements. It is also a station that suffers from severe choke points during morning and evening rush hours due to the current configuration. Rather than executing these improvements in a number of phases over many years, we have a unique opportunity here to have a single party deliver all of the work as a single project. Both the MTA and Department of City Planning view this as a major advantage of this plan. The MTA does not have this project in its current capital budget, so it is highly unlikely that this project could be built in the next decade without a partnership with the private sector. For all of these reasons, the MTA is excited to partner with the city and Extel to deliver these important improvements and significantly upgrade one of the key stations in Midtown Manhattan. Okay. Thank you now. Thank you now, Amy, and if you could forward the slides to Stephanie.
All right, thanks very much to the applicant team for that presentation. We will now move on to part 2 of the meeting. And at this time, we'll receive testimony from elected officials, community board leaders, and government agencies. When it is your turn to speak, your name will be called. You'll be promoted to panelist, which will allow you to unmute your microphone and the ability to turn on your camera if you wish. There will be a short period, again, when it appears that you're no longer in the meeting. Don't be alarmed, you will automatically rejoin the meeting as a panelist. If anyone is experiencing technical issues, as we know happens, that prevent you from sharing your testimony, we'll pause, allow you a chance to troubleshoot, and then move on to the next speaker to allow, again, for troubleshooting to be happening in the background, and we'll come back to you at a later time. If this does happen to you, again, we have our how-to guides on the NYC Engage website for assistance. Also, you may call the number shown on the bottom half of this screen, the number 877-853-5247. And again, when prompted for the meeting ID, you can use the number shown on the bottom half of this screen, 892-7363-5004, pound to skip the participant ID, and the password is 1. This will allow us to assist you if you're having any technological issues. All right, I'm checking to see if we have any speakers in this first group, and it does not appear that we do. So we'll now proceed to part 3 of the public scoping meeting, where members of the general public will be invited to speak for up to 3 minutes. As mentioned, a 3-minute time tracker will start when you begin your testimony, so we'll display that on the screen. Again, same instructions apply. Your name will be called, you'll be promoted, and then the ability to unmute and turn on your camera. Okay, we'll start with our participants who have registered to speak online via Zoom. Our first speaker is Renzo Ramirez, to be followed by Felicia Park Rogers and Jerome Barth. So again, our first speaker will be Renzo Ramirez from 32BJ.
Hello, can you guys hear me by any chance? Yes? All right. Cool,
Thank you.
So good afternoon, Chair Lamont and members of the commission. My name is Renzo Ramirez and I am a member of 32BJ SCIU. As you know, 32BJ is the largest property service union representing 85,000 property service workers across the city. We maintain, clean, and provide security services in buildings like the one being discussed at 570 Fifth Ave. We estimate that the proposed rezoning will allow the construction of 47-story, 858-foot building featuring office space. Extel is proposing an alternate residential and hotel development, which would be a 78-story, 1,060-foot tall mixed-use tower featuring 468 residential units, a hotel and retail space. 570 Fifth Ave will also provide mass transit improvements to the 53rd Street station that the MTA has identified under the Greater East Midtown rezoning. The commitment to good permanent jobs in this project is clear. Depending on the option, this site will lead to the creation of as many as 43 new building service jobs. In examining the impact of this project, we hope that the commission will consider how it will affect building service workers. We believe any investigation of a project like this should consider whether the development will sustain wage standards in the building service industry. This project clearly does that. The best way to make sure developments like this one proposed have a positive impact on building service workers is for developers to make a formal commitment to pay the prevailing wage and create good jobs with family-sustaining wages and benefits. We are pleased to let you know that the developer affiliated with this project, Extel, has a track record of creating good jobs throughout their portfolio. Extel has made an early commitment to creating prevailing wage building service jobs at this site. We are in full support of this project. We hope that the review process will take the issue of the job quality for building service workers seriously. This rezoning is a chance for working families to benefit from the development and to uphold and promote the strong standards that are in place for good building service jobs in New York City. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for your time and for joining us today. We will now go to our next speaker, Felicia Park Rogers from the Tri-State Transportation Campaign. Will be promoted in just a moment. Our next two speakers will be Jerome Barth and Ryan Pukos. Felicia Park Rogers, we're ready for your testimony.
Hi, thank you. I'm the Director of Regional Infrastructure Projects for Tri-State Transportation Campaign, and I wanted to testify that the project at 570 Fifth Avenue will bring a suite of much-needed transit improvements to the 53rd Street station that the MTA has identified under the Greater East Midtown rezoning. This is a station on the MTA wish list, but they are unable to get to it soon, as they said in the presentation, possibly in the next decade. Tri-State agrees that rather than have the improvements be done one by a variety of different vendors, the fact that this is a chance to have everything done at once by one vendor with one design will greatly enhance the final product and enhance the transit experience for up to 58,000 daily passengers that use that station, which is the 37th busiest station in the system prior to COVID. Despite being, the 53rd Street station is incredibly congested and faces major challenges due to the depth of the platforms, which are stacked one on top of each other, as you saw in the presentation, with mezzanines that are not linked. Despite being one of the deeper underground subways in New York City, there's no central mezzanine, and this project would create one, which would greatly reduce congestion and transit-related headaches for users of that station. This project will achieve full accessibility at a station that is very difficult to make accessible due to its depth and the surrounding infrastructure. The ADA elevator will be a high-speed elevator, which we are very supportive of, as that is much preferable for the users of the elevator, and it will eliminate the need to transfer. The addition of the new escalators will create redundancy in the system in the case of outages, and again, further enhance the experience of the riders who use the station. As you look to the EIS, we do encourage you to evaluate adding an escalator between the upper and lower platforms, as well as adding a bathroom, of which there are few and far between in this area. And we ask that you analyze the best practices for maintenance and repair contracts for the new elevator and the new escalators that are put in. We do believe that we are supporters of the zoning for accessibility and think that this type of project is one of the great examples of what we can achieve for our city, for our visitors, our riders who need accessibility and who have other mobility concerns through private and public partnerships. So we are in support of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony and for participating in the meeting today. Our next speaker will be Jerome Barth from the Fifth Avenue Association, to be followed by Ryan Pukos and Matthew Carroll. So now we'll invite Jerome Barth. You'll be promoted in just a moment and able to turn on your camera if you wish. Hi, Jerome, we're ready for your testimony.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Very well. I can't see if you see me. Yes, I can see myself now. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the Department of City Planning for the opportunity to comment on this project. The Fifth Avenue Association is in support. I am Jerome Barth. I'm the president of the Fifth Avenue Association. We're a business improvement district which extends from 61st Street to 46th Street on Fifth Avenue. The association works to ensure Fifth Avenue's status as the most iconic street in the world and the most vital shopping corridor in New York remains intact. Extel, a well-known and well-regarded developer, is proposing to build a new state-of-the-art mixed-use tower within our boundaries that will help invigorate the area, create continuous retail, and bring much-needed transit upgrades to the neighborhood. The development of this site at 570 Fifth Avenue at the center of Manhattan will be critical to the revitalization of Fifth Avenue in a post-COVID New York. The bid is delighted to see that the development plans include at least 13,000 and some square feet of ground floor retail space, which will activate the surrounding sidewalks and reinforce the character of the street. A good retail street needs store to follow store, and this development will do that and maintain the character of Fifth Avenue. The bid is also strongly supportive of the additional transit improvements this development will bring to the 53rd Street subway station, now serving the M and E trains. This station is crucial to the functionality of Fifth Avenue, serving as a transportation hub to many of the largest attractions and cultural institutions along the corridor, such as MoMA, the New York Public Library, or St. Patrick's Cathedral, not to speak about the numerous office towers in the neighborhood. Despite its essential use, the station is very difficult to navigate, lacks efficiency in its use of space. It can get very congested, it's not ADA accessible, and it's an all-around off-putting transit experience. The project will allow for significant station upgrades, creating a new central mezzanine and provide full ADA accessibility. Once completed, these features will bring much needed stairways and escalator capacity, which will significantly improve the level of service for the more than 50,000 daily passengers who rely on this station. We also applaud Extel for their efforts in developing two alternative plans for the development, one for a Class A office tower, the other for a mix of hotel and residential, with the idea that the development will move forward with the best concept given market conditions. I would also like to bring up the point that just as with the development of nearby One Vanderbilt, it makes sense to develop dense, tall towers at the center of Midtown, near existing network of public transportation and city amenities. To conclude, the Fifth Avenue Association believes this development will bring significant positive change to the northwest corner of 46th and 5th, which currently remains an empty lot and an eyesore to the neighborhood. The bid hopes the Department of City Planning will agree to the plans, and which will bring many benefits to Fifth Avenue, Midtown, and New York. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right on time. Thanks for being here and for your testimony. Our next speaker will be Ryan Pukos from the Grand Central Partnership, to be followed by Matthew Carroll and Freddie Buston. So Ryan Pukos, the next speaker, you'll be promoted to panelist and be able to unmute yourself. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Pukos with the Grand Central Partnership. The Grand Central Partnership is a business improvement district serving an approximately 70 square block area in Midtown East surrounding Grand Central Terminal. As one of the world's largest bids, serving a district with 76 million square feet of commercial, residential, and retail building space, our goal is to keep our Midtown East neighborhood clean, safe, and thriving. We believe that the proposed development at 570 Fifth Avenue supports this goal in a few important ways. First, the project will bring much needed transit improvements to the 53rd Street station, including the creation of a new central mezzanine, which will add stairways, escalators, and an elevator that will finally make the 53rd Street station ADA accessible. Second, the proposed development addresses a long-term challenge for our district by increasing our neighborhood supply of modern, efficient, and sustainable Class A office space. The alternate development would also boost our district as a residential hotel and retail destination for tourists and New Yorkers alike. Finally, the 570 Fifth Avenue development will have an undeniable economic impact, creating thousands of construction jobs, approximately $1.2 billion in earnings, and an economic output of approximately $2.5 billion at a time when the city is still recovering from the pandemic. With respect to the EIS, we believe that the following items should be studied. Impact of transit circulation and capacity improvements, impact of transit upgrades to tourism destinations in the commercial district, impact of new Class A office space on the overall resiliency of the neighborhood as a key commercial district, economic impact of local retailers in the commercial district, economic impact and job creation, both direct and indirect of the development, and the impact of ADA accessibility improvements. Thank you.
Great, thank you for joining and for your testimony. We will now move on to our next speaker, which is Matthew Carroll from the Elevator Constructors IUEC, to be followed by Freddie Buston. So Matthew Carroll will be promoting you in just a moment. All right, good afternoon.
How are you? Thank you everyone for your time. My name is Matthew Carroll. I'm the Director of Market Development for the Elevator Constructors Union in New York City and New Jersey. We represent over 3,000 elevator and escalator workers. I'm here to testify in support of 570 Fifth Avenue. Our mission at the elevator constructors is to raise the standard of living for all elevator workers and advocate safety conditions for all elevator workers. 570 Fifth Avenue will create thousands of construction jobs while recovering from COVID-19. This is exactly what New York City needs to move forward. This project will also bring transit improvements to the 53rd Street station. It will affect about 58,000 New York City tenants in New York City, and that's exactly what we need. As elevator constructors, we will do the work safely and keep New York City going. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much for your time and taking the time out of your day today. Our next speaker is Freddie Buston. You'll be promoted in just a moment and be able to provide your testimony. Let's see. Can we promote Freddie Buston to panelist? Thanks for your patience. Okay, it looks like we no longer have Freddie Buston in the room. We'll just wait a moment and see if we're able to get him on. Just wait another moment and see if we're able to locate our next speaker. Okay, I'm not seeing our next speaker, Freddie Buston, in as a panelist or as an attendee. So if we have a phone number or a way to contact him, we're able to get him back in the meeting to provide his testimony. At this time, I would also like to invite any members of the public who have joined via phone who didn't register previously to indicate at this time that you'd like to speak. So at this time, if you have dialed in by phone and wish to speak, please dial *9. We'll ask our production to enable that feature for our attendees. And again, please press *9. Okay, not seeing any dial-ins that wish to participate. All right. So in that we've not been able to locate our next speaker, that was the last person who has registered. So we'll now take about a 5-minute break to allow us to locate our last speaker and to invite anyone who has not yet registered that does wish to speak to register online on the NYC Engage portal. So again, that's nyc.gov/NYC Engage. If we can, production, go to the slide with the information to register. 44, yeah, that'll work. Again, so please do register to speak via the NYC Engage portal, or dial those numbers in purple and press the meeting ID located at the bottom. Again, that's 892-7363-5004. And we will get you registered to speak. So again, we will have about a 5-minute break. We'll resume at 3:05 p.m. To hear from our final speakers and to close out this meeting. So thanks again. We'll resume at 3:05 p.m. Thank you. All right, good afternoon and welcome back. Again, you're tuning in to the remote public scoping meeting for the 570 Fifth Avenue proposal. And again, for the record, the proposal City Environmental Quality Review or seeker number is 22DCP100M. Again, my name is Stephanie Shalou and I'm the director of the New York City Department of City Planning's Environmental Assessment and Review Division. We're currently on part 3 of this public scoping meeting, where members of the public can speak up to 3 minutes after having registered through our portal. A 3-minute time tracker will begin when you begin your testimony, and at that time, you'll be asked to conclude your remarks. All right, and so now we'll move to participants that registered during our 5-minute break. So now we have Santos Rodriguez from the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York. So Santos will be promoting you to panelist in just a moment, and you'll be given the opportunity to share your testimony. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I was having technical difficulties on my side, so I apologize. Good evening. My name is Santos Rodriguez. I am testifying on behalf of Gary LaBarbera, President of the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York and vicinity. I am here to testify in support of the 570 Fifth Avenue project. The Building and Construction Trades Council is an organization of local building and construction trades unions that are affiliated with 15 international unions in the North American Building Trades Union. Our local union affiliates represent approximately 100,000 union construction workers. The building trades mission is to raise the standard of living for all workers, to advocate for safe working conditions, and to collectively advance working conditions for our affiliates members and as well as all workers in New York City. Extel's proposed development for 570 Fifth Avenue project consists of 47-story of a modern Class A office space and over 13,000 square feet of retail space along Fifth Avenue. This project will create thousands of construction jobs and is projected to generate $1.2 billion in earnings and an economic output of $2.5 billion during a time when the city is recovering from an economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The alternative proposal of the development, a 78-story mixed-use tower with residential, hotel, and retail space will bring similar economic benefits to the city. The jobs created by this development, the opportunities provided to workers, and the economic benefits to the city are all significant justification for this project to move forward on their own. However, this project will also bring transit improvements to the 53rd Street subway station under the Greater East Midtown rezoning. These improvements include the development of a new central mezzanine, a new elevator to make the station ADA accessible, and a new stairway and the escalators to improve circulation and service levels for riders. The transit improvement from this project will benefit approximately 58,000 New Yorkers that travel through the 53rd Street station on a daily basis. In conducting the EIS, the level of service, new ADA accessibility, and the impact of transit upgrades to crucial station in the heart of Midtown cannot be overstated. Additionally, the EIS must measure the economic impact on jobs creation directly and indirectly created by this development at 53rd Street Station. We thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of 570 Fifth Avenue project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and glad you were able to provide your testimony today. Thanks so much. We do have another registered speaker here, Tiara Williams from Local 79. We'll be promoting you to panelist in just a moment. You'll be given the opportunity to share your testimony. Thanks for your patience. We'll promote Tiara to panelist. And to our back of house folks, if promoting to panelists, oh, there we go. We'll wait just a moment. Tiara Williams, are you in the Zoom as a panelist? We're not seeing you. Okay, we will just take a brief moment and try to contact this next speaker. All right, and while our folks that are contacting our next speaker take care of that, I would also like to remind folks that you can provide written testimony if you had any difficulty providing your testimony today, or if you prefer to supplement your verbal testimony today. You can select the hearing on the upcoming meetings page of the NYC Engage portal at nyc.gov/engage. And you can also email your comments to us. Again, that email address is 22dcp100m_dl@planning.nyc.gov. And the deadline for submitting written comments is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. We'll wait just a moment as we try to contact our final speaker. Production, if we can just go to the slide with the information to register. Thank you. Thanks, as always, for your patience. All right, and while we just wait to finalize that last speaker, if anyone has joined in via dial-in, we'll again give you the opportunity to indicate your wish to provide testimony. So production, if we can please allow that feature on our attendees. If you did dial in and were not able to register on our dial-in hotline, you may now indicate that you would wish to speak by dialing *9. And then we will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. We'll just give that a second. Again, *9 if you're a dial-in participant and wish to provide testimony. All right, does not look like we have any folks in this bucket who wish to speak. So we'll give it another moment to contact our registered speakers. Okay, thank you. We've contacted the speaker and we'll have written testimony. All right, so if we can go to our last slide. With our comment information. Again, for anyone who had difficulties providing testimony, please do submit your written testimony by emailing us. Again, 22DCP100M_DL@planning.nyc.gov or mailing us at the New York City Department of City Planning, Environmental Assessment and Review Division to my attention, Stephanie Shalou. And our address is 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271. Again, the deadline to submit written comments is through Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, and we look forward to receiving all of your comments. It is currently 3:16 p.m. and this public scoping meeting is now closed. Thank you all again for joining.